I hope you all enjoyed that deliciously 80s intro, courtesy of our high score of the week, owner of the terrible tallies, Mr. Bobby Reynolds. Yeah, you can't blame that one on me. All I did was make the funny face. Anyhow, I hope you guys all appreciate this video, because I have to tell you, I don't remember the last time making one of my 2 cents videos or columns when I used to write them out was such a pain in the fucking ass. Seriously, like, because I've been making these videos on my phone, like, I had this whole plan to actually do it a day early yesterday. Wanted to get it done on Wednesday, not have to wait until Thursday, right before the Thursday night game, have everything nice and taken care of. You know, thought it would be a nice change rather than having to feel all spastic like I need to crank it out right before the Thursday night game happens. But here's the thing about making these videos on my phone. If somebody calls me, if somebody texts me, if I get some kind of notification on my phone, right there goes that recording. Seriously, there's been like 3 or 4 times where I got halfway through this video and just had to delete it because somebody fucking called me and wouldn't leave me the fuck alone. It's aggravating as shit. But anyway, let's hope that this one works out. Let's get right to it. Week 11 review. Bobby versus Pat. Bobby had a great week. Pat had what I would call a rare down week for what his team has been. But, you know, what are you going to do? I mean, I guess when you have to put Darren McFadden in your starting lineup, that's what you get. You know, I mean, he wasn't the only guy who disappointed on Pat's team this week. But, you know, the other thing about Pat's team, and I bet this is going to end up biting me later because I have to play Pat this week, but I kind of feel like Drew Brees, it almost seems like he is no longer in that quarterback top tier. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I think he is just below it, but it's no longer Manning, Rodgers, Brees. It seems to me that has been replaced by Manning, Rodgers, Luck, which, of course, is who Bobby has. It's really no surprise Bobby's been playing as well as he has when he holds the number 1 quarterback and the number 1 running back, because Matt Forte is the quietest number 1 running back that I've ever seen in fantasy football. Like, seriously, you really have no idea how good of a game he had until you actually go and look at it. It's like, really? He did all that? But, you know, I guess everybody's too busy ragging on Jay Cutler to give Matt Forte his credit. Anyhow, on to the Battle of the Bakers. That would be Cupcake's Baker's Dozen versus Chris Baker's 9 Gates of Hell. You know, I like that name, Bake. I do. I like it better than some of the other ones that you've had already this year. You know, Cupcake, after looking like such a monster in recent weeks, he had to come back down to earth sometime. It seems like that has happened, and it also seems like Baker has benefited, at least in the short term, from that trade with Jeff. Could this cause things to flip-flop a little bit? You know, is Baker's stock up and Cupcake's stock is dropping? I think it's a little early to say that, but, you know, it could happen, you know. And with Cupcake, let's just face it, you know, the guy who is really his biggest weapon on a week-to-week basis, you probably have to say is Jimmy Graham. So if Jimmy Graham disappoints, Cupcake just does not look nearly as good. All right, on to Holtz and Mundy. Mundy, I still can't believe that you went from 0-5 to 5-5. That is probably the most miraculous fantasy comeback I've ever heard of. But now it looks like you're back to old tricks, barely scoring more than 100 points. Whereas Holtz, on the other hand, I'm impressed with his team's consistency. Because it seems to me, at least lately, on a week-to-week basis, he's getting double-digit production from most of his spots. So it's like, if you play Holtz on a regular week, you better post at least 140 if you're planning on beating him. If you play Holtz on a week where one of his players has a breakout game, forget about it. You're fucked. I think that might actually continue. I could see that being a trend. All right, on to what I had picked as the matchup of the week. Sorry, Justin. I tried to make the reverse jinx work in your favor, but instead it ended up being a matchup of the week where I actually picked right. And, of course, it makes everybody cry because now all of a sudden you, Jeff, and Cupcake are in a 4-7 tie. We have no idea who's going to come out of the bottom. I have to say, though, what I've been saying all year about Jeff finding his way back into the playoff mix, I think he may have done that with the trade that he made with Baker. And I'm just going to go on record and say it right now. If Jeff not only ekes his way into the playoffs, but somehow turns this debacle of a season that he's had into another championship, I vote right now that we tar and feather Baker in the Dover Square. So, anybody who wants to get on board that, get at me. McLean, your team they just didn't show up this week. I feel like you are due for another good performance. I just don't know if you're going to get it in time to still crack into the playoffs. Now on to what should have been the matchup of the week. Myself versus Brett. I mean, this one was ridiculous. Like, it just kept going back and forth all the way into the Monday night game. When Antonio Brown scored a touchdown, I thought maybe I still have a chance. But then Le'Veon Bell put on one of the more ridiculous rushing performances that I've ever seen in my life as a football fan. Was he that good, or was the Tennessee defense that bad? Personally, I think it was a little bit of both, but I do think Le'Veon Bell is a monster. It just sucks that Brett beat me by 8 points when I left a lot of points sitting on the bench. FYI, I am doing everything I can to trade away some of these wide receivers. Some of them are guys that are more name value. Some of them are guys that are more solid production. Either way, some of them have got to go. Pitch me a deal before the season's over. I'm really looking for a running back to fill the spot left by Ahmad Bradshaw. But I'm open to other suggestions. Just don't be trying to offer me any wide receivers because I have no interest. I have a gaggle of them. I have so many right now that I have no idea which one I want to play. All right. I was looking for. Moving on to the week that is about to happen. First things first. Devin. Let Daddy be for just a couple more minutes. I'm almost getting interrupted again. Anyway, Brett versus Cupcake. Brett is still standing alone as the top guy in the league. I think his team is good. I still feel like that record is a bit of a paper mirage, whatever you want to call it, because let's face it, he does not have that many points scored against him, and I could say the same about Bobby. Cupcake needs this one. They've got him projected pretty healthy to have a shot at winning it. I don't know. This could conceivably be a week where every 4-7 team wins and makes things really interesting. Now, I don't see that happening, but it could, and what kind of nonsense would that create? All right, next we got Bobby and McLean. They've pretty much got McLean projected through the roof right here. They got him projected at almost 160, which would make it seem like he would have a real shot at taking Bobby down. But Bobby's got Andrew Luck playing Jacksonville and 3 Bears playing Tampa Bay. I don't know. McLean, your season might be over early. I wish there was something better I could say about that, but there just isn't. Next, on to Jeff and Mundy, the two lowest scoring teams in the league. Yes, that is accurate. But look, they've got Jeff projected at 170. That's ridiculous. Debbie, leave Daddy alone for a couple minutes, and I will put Sid the Science Kid on. Take that.
Oops.
All right. But anyway, in their last matchup, get this, back when Mundy was on his ridiculous losing streak, he lost to Jeff with a score of 64 to 102. Now, I don't very well see that repeating itself, but Mundy's running backs right now just very questionable. I mean, you've got Jerick McKinnon, who now all of a sudden looks like he's going to have to share time with a third running back. And then he's got Steven Jackson, who has been okay at best. It's out of the 4 and 7 teams, the one that looks like he has a very realistic shot at a win this week. I hate to say it, it's probably Jeff. It probably is. I hate myself for even thinking that, but man, you can't get past the numbers, people. Here's another interesting one. Baker and Holtz. Now, they have Baker projected pretty well at 142, which sounds good to me, but then they've got Holtz projected at 172. And the last time these two guys played was very, very similar to what I was just saying about Jeff and Mundy. It was one-sided. I mean, the game was 86 to 165 in favor of Baker. I mean, now that I don't see happening again because their two teams are so different now. At least Baker's is. But I don't, Holtz right now is in the middle of a surge. I mean, he's taken himself all the way from the middle tier of the league into the top part of the league. If Baker won this and went 6-6 and made Holtz 7-5, it would be another one of those things where it would keep things a little more interesting. On to my matchup of the week. How could it not be my matchup with Pat? Let's face it, we're the two highest scoring teams in the league, and yet I am only one game over 500. He is one game under 500. And it looks like a ridiculous matchup. They've got us projected 9 points away from each other, and pretty much everything on Pat's side is going to be determined by the Baltimore-New Orleans matchup on, I believe that's the Monday night game. So basically what's going to happen here is I'm going to have to post a good score and hope that Pat can't catch me. Could be tough. I was saying Drew Brees hasn't looked, elite, but let's face it, he's about to play a very suspect Baltimore pass defense at home. That's a tough one. I can't pick who wins when I'm in the matchup, so just enjoy this 2 cents, and I will see you guys next week when we talk about playoff scenarios.